So welcome to UMSL. If you haven't been here before, this is a tiny slice of the campus. It's 470 acres and about 100 buildings. Of course, the College of Business is the best college at the university. We're the most profitable and the fastest growing, of course. And we're building a new building, which will be ready in about June of this year. So anyway, just wanted to welcome you. I just wanted to make a comment about when I graduated from UMSL, there was nothing like this. I'm not sure career services, Chuck, existed. My professor who inspired my career, by the way, is still with us, Chuck Keel over here. So anyway, you were kind of on your own and finding a job, and how I found my first job at IBM was a friend of a neighbor and had to work that contact and managed to get an interview and get a job. So that's how it worked. So take advantage of this opportunity because it's set up for you, and all the employers are anxious to talk to you. So please take advantage, and thank you very much for coming.
Okay, so as Dean Hoffman mentioned, this is a student-run event, and the way that it came about was about 10 years ago, the students approached Professor Vining in our marketing area and asked her, why don't we have an International Business Career Conference? And she said, so wisely, because you haven't made one yet. And so they did, and this is the 9th year. And so every year, students run the whole thing. They conceive of the theme that we have here with Going for Gold. They find the speakers, they arrange the menus, they find the volunteers, they set up the workshops, they do it all, right? So to put something together like this is clearly a labor of love, and it's also a love of labor. And so the faculty advisor for the International Business Club, the International Business Honor Society, puts this on every year, and this year, I'm very happy to say that it is Professor Emily Lane. Yeah, good. And it's a momentous day. In addition, just yesterday we got the letter from our Senate Tenure and Promotion Committee. She just received a promotion. So, yay! So the last thing that I have to do, and then I'll get out of the way, and you can listen to the person that you really came here to listen to, is to tell you how today is going to work. So we have the keynote address in this room. We'll have some questions and answers from you guys, and then we'll have an executive panel of people who are really gold medal business Olympians, and they're going to share their experiences with you. So we have the keynote and then the executive panel in this room, and then we'll have a short break, and we have the workshops where you can talk to the coaches and you can hear about how to get to that next step. We have alumni who've been through the process like you guys, so then we have the workshops, and then we have a really great lunch, kind of a lunch and learn networking opportunity with our sponsored tables. And so that's how the day is going to go. You guys are in for a world-class treat with our keynote address. So Robert Gambardello is the former chief of the Singapore Sports Institute, which is pretty cool just to have as a title, right? And his whole bio is in your packet, so you can find out a lot about him, but let me highlight just a couple of things for you. His area of expertise is high performance. He creates high-performance athletes, high-performance individuals, high-performance teams, and high-performance companies. He's an organizational high-performance expert. And I got a chance to talk with Bob G. He lets me call him Bob G. That's so cool. About, clearly you don't become where he is at the very top of his career and his field of expertise without some challenges. So I asked him about those earlier this week, and I want to share one story with you that I thought, if I was in your seats, and like the dean, my undergraduate and my master's are from UMSL. I didn't go on to be a CEO of a Fortune 10 company, though, but almost. I would want to hear his story. So what he told me was he was an undergraduate at a very small university in Illinois, and he was originally from New York. And so he's far from home, far from his friends, and he's not doing very well at all as a freshman. And he's thinking, college is not for me. I can't do this. And so he goes into a phone booth, and probably most of you don't know what a phone booth is, but instead of having phones in our pocket, they used to hang on a wall. So he goes into a phone book and he calls his coach, which was his mom. And he said, I still remember it clearly. I'm crying on the phone to my mom saying, I can't do this. And she said, Bob, You can do it. Success is supposed to be hard. That's why it's called success. All you have to do, Bob, is trust in yourself and work really hard. You need to stay where you are and succeed.
My name is Bob Gambardella, and I'm the former chief of the Singapore Sports Institute. Yeah, I mean, in this age group, I think it's important to note to them is that, you got to go out and you got to be aggressive and you got to grind it out day in and day out. I mean, some of the social media guys like Gary Vee are talking about, come on, we're going to hustle, we're going to do this. And I think that's a great, great opportunity for young people to at least, how to start. Don't wait, but rather go and seize the moment. That was true. What actually happened, I didn't think that I was going to make it. And so, here I am in the phone booth. I'll expound on it a little bit more. New York Yankees hat, in the middle of cornfields, didn't know anybody. My New York accent was worse than it is at the moment. And basically, I'm trying to acclimatize to my new environment. Anyway, as you said, I made it. And basically, I graduated, and then from there, it was just a wonderful journey that I can never forget. And what I tried to do is, I've been doing this for about 37 years in education, in the USOC, and then most recently at Singapore. And it's been an amazing journey for me. Well, I tell you what, it's interesting as I dig deeper and look at business over the years and sport and the Olympic Games. I mean, really, we're all saying the same message. I mean, like take for instance, if we looked at coaching and just leadership. A coach is a leader and a leader is a coach. So really, how much of a distinction can you really make? I think it works really well. There's a lot of lessons that sport has learned from business, but then also business has learned from sport. Mm-hmm. We talked about in Singapore is that we want to have a good strategy for sport, but also using sport as a strategy. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at it multi-dimensional, in our approach about how we want to be able to be future ready and how we want to meet the demands of 21st century sport. And I think business is pretty much probably doing the same thing. These are some of the things that I experienced in my 37 years in being in sport as a coach, administrator, at the collegiate level and at the world-class level. And it was quite an experience. And one of the things that I learned along the way is in the upper left-hand corner, again, my mother, she was a philosopher at that point. She said, son, trust is a one-time gift. And I'd look at her and say, huh? And she keeps telling me that trust is a one-time gift. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I want to give you some examples of, throughout my career, I've learned different things, and I've been able to this day, apply those learnings. We talk about sustained competitive excellence. I'll talk a little bit about the process. One of my good colleagues, he's a PhD from NUS in Singapore, mechanical engineering. He was my strategy guy. And he always used to say to me, they call me Chief in Singapore, Chief, keep it simple. And I'll show you something a little bit later about that. One of the things that I feel is very important is reserving judgment. If there's anything I can leave with you today is reserve judgment. Don't go in with a preconceived notion. Don't actually just make an opinion, but listen and wait. So that's something that's been important for me in terms of being able to, my success moving on. I think what business and sport and others have to address right now is like governance, transparency, ethics. I think these are all important pieces of the pie that have been neglected over the years. For me, I think governance is a huge piece in terms of how do you get the right people, that are actually getting behind that organization to steer them in the right direction. Since 1975 or 74, I found this quote. I was in volleyball. I know, I'm 5'6". How did this guy get in volleyball? Everything's, are you the wrestling coach? No, I'm not the wrestling coach. I always used to get that. But Matsudaira, he was a gold medal coach in 1972 Olympic Games. And he talks about, in his book that he wrote, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can read it real quick. But the thing that really struck me, and has been with me for my entire life,
my entire professional career, I should say, is our goal was not necessarily to win a medal, but the process necessary to winning a medal. And that allowed me to start to develop my vision and my mission and some of my core values.
Well, I was overall excited to be here. I think it's always great to be able to help guide young people, in their career and their aspirations. So for me, when I was asked to come and actually speak to this group, I was ready and raring to go. So it's been a fun opportunity to prepare for it and actually be here this morning to present kind of my journey and my story and my adventure that it actually turned into.
We're happy to be here. I'm happy to be among this incredible panel that we've got. And rather than me do the introductions, we thought it'd be nice if each one of them maybe spent a minute or two and did introduce themselves to you. So we'll start over here, all the way to my left, our very own Michael Phelps. At least I didn't say Ryan Lochte, okay? That could have been bad. We got John Clark. John is president and CEO of MasterClock. John?
What's up, guys? I'm John Clark with MasterClock. We're a manufacturer of very accurate timing systems from everyone from the airports to the broadcasters to some Olympic activities. We manufacture everything over in St. Charles, right across the river here. We're a small company, but about half of our sales are exports. And what we kind of talk about with our philosophy is that performance translates across culture much easier than language. Ethics do as well. And so the whole point is, if your products work, you can export them, you can go global, because they get the job done, just like the Olympians can go anywhere in the world and compete, and it's all in the same kind of system.
Sitting next to Michael, we have our very own Katie Ledecky, Miss Priya Marsonia. Priya is Vice President of Delivery at ATG, Advanced Technology Group. Priya?
Good morning, everybody. So I'm with the Advanced Technology Group. We were founded by two gentlemen, one who lives right here in St. Louis, Missouri, and we have an office here, and one who's an actual UMSL alumni, Chris Herbig, who heads our Kansas office. Our company does quote-to-cash implementations. We're an IT services firm. And I think I really liked what the keynote speaker said about reserving judgment. I think success in our business, in our people business, is to really sit and listen to what the person's saying and not to come to the table with any preconceived notions about either the company or about the people or team that we're working with. But just to really give everyone a chance to contribute to the success of the overall initiative, because many of these are transformative initiatives for the companies that we do them for. They require a lot of change management, great culture, and just everyone contributing to their very best level. So everyone has to be an Olympic quality teammate.
To my immediate right, our very own Usain Bolt. He is very, very fast. Juan Carlos Buitrago Suarez with Monsanto. He is the marketing executive for the Americas and Europe at Monsanto. Juan Carlos?
So I'm very pleased to be here. I really enjoy this type of engagements. I've been with Monsanto for 20 years. Began my career back in Colombia. Been to 4 different countries, living in 4 different places. I've been responsible for global responsibilities for global businesses, which has taken me to different parts of the world and understanding businesses from different perspectives and how to do business in those countries.
Finally, our last true gold medalist here, the unbelievable gymnast, Simone Biles. Miss Laura Last, Global Director, Learning and Performance at Amgen. Laura?
Global biotechnology company. We manufacture and sell biologic medicines all around the world. We're a fairly young company, about 35 years old, and we manufacture drugs in nephrology, oncology, inflammation, osteoporosis. So we work in several therapeutic areas.
I think it's absolutely critical not to jump into judgment. Reserve judgment in any international experience that you have. In international careers, it's critical that you do that. Reserve judgment. Judgment comes from your own beliefs and from your own values. So when you judge someone, it's coming from you to them. And what you're trying to do when you do international career, international business, get to know a different culture. What you want to do is know them to understand where they are coming from. And that is absolutely critical in being successful. If you try to go to different cultures, to different business environments, with your own cookie cutter model and just try to fit what you're seeing into that cookie cutter, that is not going to work.
A lot of times when you're traveling to different countries, people tell you their perspective. Oh, you're going here. Well, you need to be worried about that. Or these people or this culture is a certain way. And there are some truths to that. But I feel like we're in such a global market now that we're actually in many ways very similar. And so I always try to listen to those things and understand those things, but do my own research and not necessarily make that judgment right away, and really try to read the audience and read the people and talk to people individually and take the cues from them as to what's important to them as well.
Some of the challenges that you have dealt with and important lessons learned when working internationally.
When you bring something to another country and say, okay, I have a solution for you to do X, Y, Z, it's really important to listen to them around their context and what they need in their environment, which may be very different. It can be different from a regulatory standpoint as well. One of the most interesting experiences I had was we were doing manufacturing of some telecommunication products, and we were relocating a factory to Europe. And Europe has very different recycling laws than we do here in the United States. And so we had to consider all of that in our business case when building the factory. So I think it's really important, again, to reserve that judgment and talk to people in the area who have more experience. And remember, you're part of this team, and the whole team has to be successful, and you need people who know what they're doing in a given climate.
I think that some of the challenges are things you do not understand. In different countries, in different business environments, for example, Japan. I come from Latin America. The guy that speaks the most in a group is the boss. The guy that speaks the most is the guy that makes the decisions. In Japan, it's not really that way. It's the opposite. So I go to a business meeting. There's a guy that speaks a lot on the Japanese team, and I think to myself, he's the boss. Well, he was not the boss. But if you don't understand those little differences, it's very difficult to really connect. My advice would be go for the drinks after going to dinner. Understand the culture, understand the tradition, understand what is important for them. There are some countries where honor is very important. And who's the boss and who talks first and who talks second is very important. So pay attention to those little details, because that's going to save a lot of time, and it's going to make navigating through the business environment easier.
What makes a person a good fit for an international career? You got any thoughts on this? What are you looking for? What should they be thinking about in terms of an international career?
It's a great question. I think I'd go back to what makes a person hireable in the first place. What do we really look for? And some of those things are things that are difficult to train and things like that. It's things that people have inherent in their character. And one of them is the fire in the belly, we call it, that desire to strive and achieve. And we just see it through different interview questions that we ask. The other one is truly just the desire to learn. And that's why I thanked all of you for being here. I think in the first place is that, people that are in an international career, I think you've heard us all say it in some way, shape, or form that, you have to do a lot of research. You've got to be curious. You have to want to understand other cultures and other people.
Look at the global infant mortality rate, what it's done over the past 20 years. Look at the global poverty level. When everyone's saying things are going crazy, globally, statistically, things are better than they've ever been. This is the most peaceful period that we've ever existed in, and more people are being pulled out of poverty and put into a place where they can be productive than ever before. So the wrong metrics put you in the wrong lens, but if you pay attention to the right ones, I'm enthusiastic.
Thanks to our entire panel, John, Michael Phelps, Priya, Katie Ledecky, Juan Carlos Usain Bolt, and Laura Simone Biles. You guys, terrific job. Did they not do a great job?
So this is a student-run event, and this is a year-long thing. So what you're seeing today, as they said, as Bob said before, for the Olympics, right? A lot of people just think you show up, it's a big tournament, big event coming along, but everyone started planning for it 8 years ago. For this, we've been planning along, and this would not have been possible with the help of these two amazing women and with all of you guys showing up. So I want to say thank you. I hope you got out of it as much as we did, and yeah, thank you.